Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a Lions of the Emperor review. I just want to kind of look at this again as there's been progress with it. It came out at a rocky start, but people seem to be getting the hang of it, especially this past weekend. There were 5 placings with it from what I can see. And looking at Lions of the Emperor, I initially was like, I think there's going to be some things that are traps that people are going to fall into. And that might have been the case. Like, I think that might have been a touch of it with the list building situation. But I think people are figuring out a couple of things with Lions of the Emperor. Well, for starters, let's talk about the detachment rule. Against all odds, each time an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that isn't a vehicle makes an attack, if there are no other friendly units within 6 inches of that unit, +1 to hit and +1 to wound. So, this is it of course rewards you for being not next to your allies, right? But the other thing is that we're not seeing one of the things that I thought could potentially develop is that you have a detachment rule that you only really care about kicking in when things are getting rough. Like there's a lot of times where we make the same index build and then you just go, oh, I have the detachment rule here now that it's activated. It does seem like lists are trying to find ways to trigger this more often because +1 to wound for custodians that are already hitting on twos and +1 to hit, meaning that you're undoing like any stealth or -1 to hit shenanigans, is pretty good. And what I think I'm seeing from like the list and the results or whatnot are the characters that essentially are doing it. We're seeing Blade Champs, and I like this. I think I talked about this in one of the tournament review videos, but I like that we're seeing Blade Champs. Blade Champion, Swift Onslaught, while this model is leading a unit, you can reroll charge rolls made for that unit. Martial Inspiration, once per battle in your charge phase, this model's unit is eligible to declare charge in a turn in which it advances. Why do I like this? I think people are cracking down on the movement wins game speed aspect of Lions of the Emperor. I think if you can shoot off into your opponent's back lines somehow, some way, whether that be okay, now mind you, they all have deep strike, so but termies feel more deep strikey to me. Maybe that's just my head. Or getting there between Blade Champ and Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bike, things that have the movement to get there. So I think it's definitely becoming more of a, I don't want to say dive. If you're familiar with Valorant at all, there's double dive comps where you send two duelists or whatever back there to fuck shit up and then everybody kind of follows suit. Um, I don't want to say dive because you're still playing 40k, so you're not going that far, and it's not necessarily diving into the back lines. But I think people are more willing to, for lack of better words, send it. I think people are more doing riskier things with Lions of the Emperor, and I like that. I think that's kind of what the identity of this might have been. And mind you, not a Custodes player, and hey, not even Custodes lore really, right? But from what I was reading of it, it just seems like hey, they're outnumbered. Get out there, do the thing, right? So I think that's pretty cool that it's kind of leaning towards that from what I could see and the common things being taken from the list. Now the other thing that I really want to discuss is the enhancements because I really like what two people have done here. Trent was one of them, and I think I lost the other one. Was it Colin? No, okay, it was Colin. So both of them have Admonomortis, excuse me, on the Dawn Eagle jet bike. where most other people have a solo Donito jet bike with Praesidius. And Praesidius gives you lone up stealth. At Monomortis, at Monomortis, I sorry, I'm flubbing that today. 10 points plus 3 strength, improve the AP and damage by 1 for the melee weapon for a shield captain model only. So, why do I like this more on the Dawn Eagle jet bike? Because you have Lance, and I feel that if you're going through the trouble of putting 10-point enhancement on a shield captain, it might as well end up on making a shield captain Dawn Eagle jet bike go up to strength 10, AP 3, damage 3. More so than, no lands, strength 10, AP 3, damage 3, or strength 12, AP 2, damage 4. That's just where I feel that would be best served. Um, and coming to the Shield Captain and Alaris Terminator armor, one of the big things is that, yeah, you can lead the Alaris Custodians, and some people have, I think it's still up for debate if the Custodians or equivalent inclusion is bait or not for Unleash the Lions. You can split the unit into separate units, each being one model, starting strength of one, whatever, right? And I think that it is. I think I'm starting to fall into the category of it is kind of bait. I think from what I've been seeing in the games that I've seen playing with it, I think it might be a little bit of bait because even the people that take it in their list don't always find a great time to use it. And to that point, if you can save yourself, what's the smallest one, like 170, I forget. If you can save yourself 130, 130 points, and maybe just make that a second Alaris Terminator armor captain, maybe do that. But here's the thing that I want to know if you ever do it. I want to know if you go with Presidius on a shield captain in Alaris Terminator armor. Why? Lone up stealth. I know that we're putting it on the Dawn Eagle jet bike captain, but he's mounted. So I wonder if there's a world where it's just easier for you to put this onto infantry, get those out the way, put this onto an infantry unit, and call it a day. And then, kind of like a pseudo ghost kill, where Oromite and Adamantine, once per battle at the start of any phase, this model can use this ability if it does until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, change the damage characteristic of that attack to 1. So, I wonder if there's, like, so if, what I mean by pseudo ghost kill. Ghost queues have Lone Op, Infiltrate, and they have the 2 drones that can blake damage. So I wonder if there's a world where you take this, make them a Lone Op, and once they finally get within 12, for again, like if you do 2 shield captains, I actually don't even know if you do 2. I think you can just solo 1. This the way that people are doing solo Dawn Eagle jet bike. Because it does still have deep strike. It is still has deep strike. It's still a custodian. Um, for the loss of 1 wound, I'm just saying. I think for the loss of 1 wound, yeah, there's less movement on there, but I don't know. I feel like at a certain point, the trade off of being infantry versus mounted, you can fly, right? Um, can get you some other things, but I wonder if there's a world where you like the lone up stealth. And then once they finally get past some defenses, like if it's looking dangerous, right? Then you pop your once per battle, or even because you're a shield captain, you can do this for free. It is Gilded Champion. Any phase just after an Adeptus Custodes character model from your army that has an ability on its datasheet that says once per battle, you can do it again. right? You can only target that character model once per battle. So I wonder if there's ever a world where you do that for 2 turns. You have a lone up stealth, shield captain, and a large terminator armor that is still a custodian, right? Like I understand pumping up the numbers here. Don't get me wrong, I do, and I'm not saying that that's wrong. I don't want that to be misconstrued. Because I can see what you're saying. Like if you go, well, I already have Lance, so do I need to put the enhancement for plus strength and plus damage on there? Well, you're playing Lines of the Emperor where you're looking for +1 to wound anyway. So I wonder if you just take a shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike and between salvo launcher. Yeah, okay, let's be real. You're not doing that. But realist on the more real side, like if you just throw a shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike into somebody with sustained, you're hitting on twos +1 to hit. So if they have anything defensive, pump your AP to 3, strength 10 lance. Uh, you can probably knock down something serious for 150 plus 20, no, plus 10, right? So 160 for a missile with 3 attacks might not be too bad, especially when we're talking about what we're using the movement on, compared to then having a shield captain that lone up, deep strike, right? Deep strike, lone up. I mean, again, well, now that I think about it, Dawn Eagle Jetbike does not have deep strike. A deep striking lone up with stealth that can reduce the damage characteristics coming into 1, and it is T7 with 7 wounds. And infantry. Hmm. I think that might not be the worst. Um, I think that might not be the worst. And actually, I think I do have and Swift as the Eagle. You could. There's actually a lot of things here you can do, I think. Um, if you do that. And now I'm thinking about going back to the enhancements for a second here. The other one that I'm surprised that nobody's taken is Phoenix Gem, really. Superior Creation. Adeptus Custodes infantry model only. The first time the bear is destroyed, roll 1d6 at the end of the phase on a 2-up. Set the bearer back up on the field as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range. That's really good. Full wounds remaining on top of that. So I think out of the list, I saw like one superior creation. Let's see where it was. Yeah, one blade champ with superior creation. Funny enough, I actually was just talking about this. Um, and something that hopefully you all will see in due time. Um, but it is funny, like, putting back up a second shield captain and a large Terminator armor could be a play. And then if it stands back up, do you get your once per battle back? Do you get your once per battle back? And if not, you can make it free with Gilded Champion. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, this might actually be. Oh, okay, hold on. Because I promise I didn't even. I'm not trying to make an argument for this really, because I don't play Custodes. But there are things that Custodes don't do that confuse me. Like I still want to know why in Solar Spearhead, Land Raider go through walls, charge, hasn't been really explored. But like, hey, that's another thing. But Shield Captain and Alaris Terminator armor. Phoenix Gem is just powerful, right? Like, can we agree that Phoenix Gem stand back up abilities is powerful? So between Abominant, Celestine, Gilliman, uh, Fuegan has it right. If Wagon has it, Phoenix Gem was like, I'm calling it Phoenix Gem for a reason. I mean, okay, maybe there's my own bias on that one, but you have access to it over here with superior creation, and for the cost of 25 points, you're getting an 130 point model back, right? Like that is you're playing Custodes, so I think that that might be worth the investment in some way, shape, or form. But going to the why I'm having this, like, oh, maybe one Alaris Terminator armor shield captain that is alone up with stealth, and then when things get tough, you blank. If we're going to make it so that, and we looked at the Alaris Custodians, they're 130 points. Instead of doing some shit with Unleash the Lions, maybe you just take two of the captains who can do shit for free, um, and reduce the damage incoming to one if things are looking like they need it. One of them blown up stealth, the other one Phoenix Gem. 25 points versus 130. Yeah, I guess that's one less model, technically. But is it really? I don't know. Uh, get them out there because that's the other thing. I haven't seen too many Alaris Custodians. I think at most I've seen two bodyguard units, as in like two, well, four models in total, right? So I wonder if that's a play for this detachment. Got access to fallbacks in charge. And the other thing I was saying about why maybe this could be something is that with between Gilded Champion and Swift as the Eagle, yeah, you can only make one of them free per turn. Uh, one model from your army with this ability, so not saying that you can do both of these all the time, like for free, but I think you probably have one CP. Going back even further to this Alar's Custodian idea, Alar's Terminator Captain, I don't know why I keep saying Custodian, uh, Alar's Captain idea that I'm now thinking of while we're doing this. One Superior Creation, one Praesidius, one after it popped its damage, see where it lies, popped its damage reduction, and one that got shot, reactive move. And because you're infantry, easier time going through the wall. I think that especially now, if it's the lone up that finally somebody got within range of the lone up with stealth, one CP reactive move and a damage blank, or sorry, I shouldn't say damage blank, damage reduction. I don't know. I feel like these things could be annoying as hell for gameplay, and frees up board space so you can continue with your Lines of the Emperor bullshit. Meanwhile, this and when I first read Lines of the Emperor, it did seem just to be a power crept orc champions. And in orc champions are like they wanted you to run characters. They want Hero Hammer on that aspect. So if it's true that Lines of the Emperor is kind of power crept on that aspect where you can look to take solo characters, two solo Alaris Terminator armor, one Dawn Ego jet bike that is doing the Ad Mana Mortis. Maybe that's the play. I think that actually could be kind of cute, and one CP to make these fight on death. Yeah, maybe that's the thing. But going back to what people are doing with the list, we're seeing Blade champions come out, and going back to the speed aspect of it, if you can just be away from your army, I guess, Blade champs. Okay, hold on. Now, am I really? Is this video going to turn into me actually trying to convince people Alaris Terminator armor shield captains solo? It might. But if these are in Deep Strike, and that's the other thing, if they're in Deep Strike, they can't get shot that first turn, and then when they finally come in, it's going to take more turns to get them off. So if your units are in Deep Strike, and then like your solo units are in Deep Strike, and then your Blade champions are start on the board and advance in charge with their Custodian Guard or Wardens has been really flavor of choice. I've seen about equal on both of these, where some people chose the cheaper custodian guard, and I can understand it because advanced shoot because they have assault weapons, charge, or possibly shoot again. That's pretty good for 170 points. So if you're trying to squeeze out max value of things, I could see. I think I'm in favor of looking at the custodian guard builds, blade champ, advance, shoot, shoot again, charge, while being able to proc. Hey, I want to advance and charge again because of the strat. Like that seems pretty good, and I can understand wardens with the if the strength is greater than the toughness, -1 to wound, 4 up, feel no pain once per battle, 210 points. I just don't know if you need it anymore. If I'm being honest, I think in the current state of the game, it's still good. Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm not gonna say it's ever bad. But for 40 less points, you can kind of free up what everybody's doing for the action doers with witch seekers or what's the other ones? Prosecutors. Yeah, like prosecutors. That's custodian guard and prosecutors is the cost of the warden. So if you need like just objective doer shit to do, prosecutors, witch seekers have scout, and what's the other ones? Vigilators. Yeah, vigilators. Probably probably looking at witch seekers, I guess. But that frees up points. And if you have those little objective doers and then the Alaris Terminator Armor Solo and Deep Strike, maybe there's a play there to, have both board present. So like they're still gonna be doing things, doing actions for you and shit. Um, but and mind you, especially if they start now this is where we're getting like really crazy where I don't think you ever do this, but just on the topic of maybe uh if they're in a rhino, they're not taking up too much space somewhere else, especially if you give them like if you take the ones that have scout, put them up the board and then your uh so that they can actually go do things once they get out the fucking rhino, maybe. But yeah, blade champ, run it down, make sure that you're procking against all odds at most times, especially looking at, real melee. Sustained hits one lethals could be the play there. Sustained devastating on Victus. Yeah, I'm liking the Blade Champ build. Um, I'm liking the inclusion of Dawn Eagle Jet Bike. We did see some builds with the Praetors, and like I guess, but I guess going further more onto why I guess you won't do it is because they already have Lance. So, and they already hit on twos because you're Custodes. So, I could see not bringing Praetors like at all, and that's why you go, well, if I'm not bringing Praetors, I should probably make the Shield Captain that can't go through walls or hide behind walls as fair alone up with stealth. Um, or, you can always hide behind walls, but not as perfectly because you got to go around and like do the fly and all the goofy shit. But all of that, maybe if it is just a hey, crack back, 3 strength, 1 AP damage, maybe, right? Especially if you know you're going to go into a situation that is going to turn off against all odds. I think there's a chance for that. So, just looking at Lines of the Emperor, I'm seeing where results are coming from, but let's go further before kind of end off on everything. We're seeing Valerian even came out, Blade Champ. Here's Warden build, Prosecutors, Witch Seekers, Caladius Grav Tanks. Everybody's taking Caladius Grav Tanks. I don't see anything wrong with that. You need something, right? Here's more of a guard build with Some of the custodians, I'm sorry, apparently there was one that had three, and then squad of wardens. This is one of the guardian builds I was talking about. Like this looks pretty good. But only one blade champ, so if they're operating solo, or I guess leaderless, there you go. Lucas was okay, so it's 2 and 3. It's 2 and 3. Sorry, I misspoke earlier with the custodian bit. Um, there we go. We again Draxus has been interesting. Where I wonder if you need Draxus anymore. Like Draxus is a good include, of course, but would you? It's something that really wants you to. No, I guess not really wants. I guess you can save yourself a way of doing Gilded Champion. But if you do, because she has to go with the battle line, right? Has to go with the battle line, so yeah, it would have to go with the custodian guard. I don't know. I don't know. I think in this time alone, do I not rate Draxus here? I don't know. I think she's good. I just don't know. Do I not rate Draxus here? I think she makes things interesting. I'll say that for both you and your opponent. Um, Wardens, Witch Seekers. We're seeing like a lot of Witch Seekers, Prosecutors, Draxus. Here's some Praetor build. All right, the funny one. So yeah, I think that's we'll actually just finish out April, right? Last month. So yeah, looks like the move has been away from Praetors being included. But beyond that, I think Lions of the Emperor has an interesting spot to succeed where Orc champions kind of failed. And I guess like no stuff, right? But I don't know. I like the Blade Champ build. Maybe there's a world where solo a large Terminator armor, but with enhancements comes out because get back up with this ability being able to be procced. I don't know, like especially if it takes a lot of investment, right? If you proc this and then if you pop, I guess I should say, if you pop Auramite and Adamantine, and it takes 2 units to get rid of your shield captain, and then you for free say I'm gonna do it again, but it took 2 units to put him down, and then on the Phoenix gem stand back up so that you guaranteed have it, because I don't know the ruling on this. Does it count as a new unit if you stand back up? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it has to follow kind of the no GSC has their stuff, their one shot stuff come back. It's an identical unit. I don't know. I don't know. Um, but if it takes your opponent 300 points to get rid of your shield captain and a large Terminator armor for good, because you come back on full wounds, and all it cost you was a 25-point enhancement and popping a strat for free, yeah, I think there's some serious value into that. Especially because you can deep strike, right? You can deep strike, score something, and then, especially because you can deep strike. Now that I think about it, especially because you can deep strike. Now people will screen you out, or at least try to, but screen out a 40 millimeter base later in the game where the rest of your shit is starting to kick up with Lions of the Emperor against all odds because you're using less units. Like if your prosecutors and witch seekers are not having board presence anymore, and now you're throwing blade champs as a counterpunch, and then you finally have room on the board because you're playing Custodes and your opponent is probably getting punched somehow, some way. Um, Dropping some deep strike and unit behind enemy lines that that requires a lot to get rid of. Giving it sustained with Martial Kata +1 to wound from the detachment rule. Yeah, I think you could lift kind of anything in your opponent's backline with a damn shield captain at that point. A spe- Damn it, I promise you I didn't set out to make this an argument. But you know, especially if it is something goofy like guard tank in the backline, a Tyrant effects in the backline, right? Uh, 7/2/2 would be fives. With 7 attacks, make that go to fours. Sustain 7 attacks out of it, right? Uh, there's a world where you just start punching tanks and shit in the back line that was giving you troubles in other places. Like, what if you punch a Vindicator and then it thought it was done, and then you get back up and you change the damage characteristic of that shit to 1, so it has to do at least 7 attacks, and you have to fail them with a 4-up invuln. I don't know. There's a lot of play here in my mind on that one. That wasn't where I set out to do, but that's where we found ourselves. And sometimes that's kind of what had happened. So, hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.